Okay. Well, get the Indian economy unshackled by removing large parts of the command economy. That has been Uday Kotak, and many people ask actually because that would set a lot of productive energies free. We have someone here who has watched a lot of budgets and reactions of markets and investors, more importantly. Reaction of investors more important than markets, and that's Raamdeo Agrawal, Chairman, Motilal Oswal. He's just joined us. Raamdeo, thank you very much. One thing you spoke about when we last spoke about the budget, you said that it should be a budget that encourages investment. What should be the modus operandi?
Well, see, first thing is the resource mobilization, in the sense that you should have actually budgetary estimates should be real, in the sense that if you have a divestment target of say 2 trillion rupees or 2 lakh crores, I mean, you should actually end up executing that, because if you don't do that, then what happens is the expenditure becomes, first thing is that most of the divestments, if at all anything happens, it happens very back end. So your visibility of revenue is very poor. So you need actually some method in the madness that somebody was suggesting just now, that every month there should be in a targeted way mobilization of that particular thing, because GST and direct taxes will happen in its own way. But this divestment targets should be met by some kind of quarterly targets or monthly targets, so that it is front loaded. Otherwise, what happens is that when you have a midterm appraisal, revenue shortfall is there, then you start cutting the expenditure, and then the entire plan, which is present in February, doesn't go through. So I think they need to see next year's growth of 10, 11%, 12% is given. You don't have to put an effort. It's just a mathematical thing, because what you didn't get in 2021, you are going to get in 21-22. So I think on that aspect, things are pretty much already in place. I think how do you build for 22-23? The growth momentum which is there in 21-22, natural growth momentum. How do you build it in 2023? And instead of K-shaped recovery, where few large firms are doing very well and a lot of other firms, mid and small, they are actually suffering. So how do you make sure that it is a complete V-shaped recovery for everybody? So I think, because the main tragedy of this COVID is the job losses, and the jobs are not there in the large firms, jobs are there in the mid and small firms. So I think that should be us.
Yep.
Raamdeo, hi. Good morning. Prashant here. Just a slightly near to medium term question. Third quarter earnings are coming super strong, even better than what was expected. We have the GSC numbers. The economy seems to be on a mend. The market has already fallen 1,000 points on the Nifty going into the budget. If one assumes that there is nothing sort of extraordinarily negative for the market in this budget, and it's a sort of simple P&L with some tinkering here and there, how is the market set in your opinion?
I think markets have fallen for 8-10 days. So I would say that whatever little optimism was there, that has already been taken out. But the kind of disturbance which is happening in global markets in terms of this hedge funds selling off because they got stuck in some short squeeze and all, that disturbance, I hope today it is not there, because today's event, if there is a 5,000-6,000 crores of selling by FIs, I think there could be a lot of cold water on the budgetary proposals and impact of that. So that could be delayed. So I think you have to analyze the budget not from the point of view of the markets, because quite possible that markets could be in a very extraordinarily bullish phase or extraordinarily bearish phase because of this FI flow. But the proposals themselves should be seen from the viewpoint of, in the stock market, I would say the corporate earnings. Is the corporate earnings momentum which we are seeing, nascent corporate earnings, this is the first quarter of some strong surprises. Can we build on that? That is the thing. So provision of liquidity, the cost of liquidity, I would say that is a much bigger thing than anything which government is going to do. So are we going to... And inflation, inflation is also...
The cost of liquidity... The cost of liquidity cannot be divorced from how much government is borrowing, isn't it? That will inevitably follow. So the two kind of are attached at the hip, as it were, Raamdeo. By the way, the foreign investor, the foreign backdrop is not very negative for us at the moment. At the moment, all the Asian markets are up between 1.5% and 2.5%, and the Dow futures is up 0.5%. So let us hope that the jitters created by GameStop is over.
Okay.
I mean, we can't say that, but for the moment, yeah, you're going to say something.
I also want to point out, you said the foreign setup is not too bad. Even the domestic data that has come out, the auto sales that just came out, both from Maruti and Ashok Leyland, are not bad at all. I mean, for Maruti, growth continues in January. It's a 4.5% year-on-year growth. Exports are up 30%, and that stock is in the green. Even for Ashok Leyland, double-digit growth in January. MHCV truck sales are up by almost 30% year-on-year in January. So both these stocks, are, barometers of the economy. I wanted
Actually,
to get...
we have only 6 minutes, so we have to do some bit of a rapid fire. And we have 2 members of the PMEAC with us. So, I mean, I'm going to give each of you a minute or a minute and a half. Nilesh, before we go into the budget, what's the one thing you want to hear?
Focus on growth, growth and growth.
Okay, that's 10 seconds. Give us a way in which you can do that.
Raise resources without raising taxes, stimulate those sectors of economy which need support, and maintain path of fiscal prudence.
Okay.
Ashok?
I would say spend on infrastructure and create incentives for larger investment in manufacturing. That's the only place where you can create the jobs that have are needed with the dislocation of the informal sector.
Sajid?
Very similar, big public investment push, infrastructure, health, education, but have a systematic privatization plan over the next 3 years so that we can get this glide path of fiscal consolidation coming forward. If we can achieve all three, I think that'll be just the balance we need.
Okay. Ashok, I just had a follow-up there. When you talk about spends on infrastructure, how do you think the government can raise revenues? I mean, there is some talk of a reintroduction of, tax-saving infrastructure bonds for retail to get in as well. What all can we expect?
Well, there are 2 ways, right? One is what the government is doing, put more and more of infra assets in the InvIT system. They're doing that with the transmission business. There are enough number of very good quality government infrastructure projects with enough long duration where sovereign funds and insurance companies will be very happy. So that's the part of the divestment program. On the fundraising side, I mean, my own view is the old idea, which is you brought in a tax concession for tax litigation, you've brought in something for indirect taxes, bring one more for people who have exchange lying overseas, create a 10-year infrastructure bond, zero coupon infrastructure bond. Last time when you did it, you applied 45% tax. You just did not get enough flow of money sitting outside coming back. Yeah. This time says zero coupon, 10-year infra bond. Let people come and invest in that bond. You get the money to kickstart what is really critical. People get one more lifeline to tackle the black money bill that's been introduced. And enough fear has been created, honestly, by the government, which is a wonderful job. Last time around, it was right at the beginning. Now, enough fear has been created. So I think you will see a lot more people forthcoming in a scenario like this.
Yeah, actually, Nilesh was saying the same thing about gold, actually, to get the money out and, propel it, use it as a fuel for investment. Sajid, the one thing we didn't discuss, we will also have the 15 Finance Commission's medium-term fiscal targets and maybe even the ratio of sharing. It is the states which do more of the expenditure these days. So what would you want to hear?
Well, I'm hoping that there are no big changes in terms of the vertical devolution here, because then that affects the fiscal math of the center and states. There'll certainly be changes, in the horizontal distribution. But, at this point in time, the more fiscal certainty we can create and the fewer fiscal surprises we have, I think the better for macroeconomic management going forward. I think the bottom line is the tactics can change, but the strategy has to be one of an expansionary consolidation. And if we can get that balance right, I think many other pieces will fall into place.
Okay, Raamdeo, I know we're all, obsessed with what comes out of the budget, but the macro numbers are also looking very good. I mean, the auto sales that have just come out have presented a very strong picture. Is this a space where you expect to see more, gains to be made by retail investors?
Yes, I think indirectly the fuel prices, the cess on petrol and diesel, that has been quite exorbitantly high. So there could be some relief because now petrol prices are heading towards 3-digit, 100 rupees. So So I think there, I mean, now since COVID is behind, hopefully, so now the recovery phase, you must unwind some of the emergency measures you have taken. So there could be some relief out there, and automotive can get a little more boost from there. And in any case, there is a lot of pent-up demand, and people want personal transports. So there's a lot of change in the consumption behavior, and the real thing will be consumption behavior. And second is the housing demand, because work from home, everybody needs more houses. So it has just gone higher in the priority of everybody. And this particular thing should be actually encased in the budget. How you can push more housing, and which has a huge multiplier effect. And
How can you? What is your idea?
Hello?
Yeah, how can you do that?
I mean, whole lot of committees are there. I mean, this second buying houses by the second houses, tax deductions and all. There are a lot of measures whereby which can be taken. You can have interest subvention, and a whole lot of things can be done to actually boost the demand. And even the permissions, the kind of permission FSIs in cities like Mumbai, the kind of a liberal FSIs you give, and the permissions. Actually, one of the biggest constraint is how fast you permit the builders to actually roll out the schemes. Because the cost of construction period in India is too high.
Yes.
Interest rates are very high, and instead of 2 years, if it takes 4 years, the cost of production goes up by 30-40%. So can you reduce the cost of production, which can be passed on?
I thought there is 60 minutes to go for the 60 seconds. The market is a day's high.
Yes.
So we're up 144 points on the Nifty. The mid-cap index has come back into the green. The bank Nifty is up 2.25%. And, it's sort of going into it in a pretty positive way. 145 higher, not bad at all. IndusInd is at 922. It's up 9%. ICICI is at the day's high, 565. DLF is up 4%. HDFC Limited, Indigo, SAIL. The backdrop is, I would say, pretty comfortable. 1,000 points already sold off on the Nifty. From the all-time highs, the market here is the worst performing amongst major markets, developed and emerging. So that comfort, that cushion probably is there. But as Raamdeo pointed out, I mean, if the FIs come and sell another 2,000-3,000 crores, budget, no budget, I mean, the market heads down. So we'll see.
Bolo, at the moment, it looks like they are not in a selling mood. They are covering shorts even in other Asian markets. Any moment now, we will get a mention from the team that the finance minister is rising. Maybe it'll be first, of course, the speaker who will call the House to order and then request the finance minister to present the speech. You can see that members, officials in the Parliament are rising to meet the speaker, and the speaker is about to take the floor. So it's over to the Lok Sabha.
Please, माननीय सदस्य, please.
धन्यवाद जी. ऑनरेबल स्पीकर,
आपको बोलने का मौका दूंगा बजट के बाद, माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी.
ऑनरेबल स्पीकर, I present the budget for the year 2021-2022 as introduction. Honorable Speaker, the preparation of